Mushoku Tensei is a fantastic show, and I never want to watch it again. This is going to be a rough one, boys. Initially, I had this idea planned out where I had the working title for the video was going to be Broken and Reforged. Mushoku Tensei is still on top. I wanted to make a funny video for people's entertainment, something to, I don't know, just make the world a little bit brighter. That's what I try to do with my content. And I can't do that this week because I woke up today and I feel like shit. For once, I'm not sick. Not this time, anyway. I feel like shit because I watched Mushoku Tensei again. And I say again because this has happened before. Fun fact, the reason why I started binging last season, one of a couple reasons, is because I watched season 2 part 1 of Mushoku Tensei. And it was difficult. But I don't think that's actually where it started. Even though this video is going to be a departure from my typical style, I still consider it a part of binging last season for Mushoku Tensei Season 2 Part 2. So I won't be spoiling any major plot points from Part 2 of that second season, but I will be spoiling plot points from Part 1 as well as Season 1. And I'll be talking about the general vibe of Season 2, Part 2. But if you've already clicked on the video, then it's probably too late. Or maybe not. I don't know. Stick around. But to understand how we got here, why I think they've already gone too far, and other mysteries of the universe, we have to go back and talk about a show called Anohana. Anohana is an anime adaptation that aired in 2011, and even now looking at pictures of it, I'm starting to lose my shit. I'm not going to tell you much about the plot of Anohana, I'm just going to tell you two things. One is that it's in my top 5, and 2, I've only watched it once. And when you compare that to other shows in my top 5, like No Game No Life, that I've watched maybe 12 times, or Run with the Wind, my GOAT, which I just rewatched recently, it stands out. It's an anime that I consider to be incredible, among the greatest of all time, and something that I refuse to experience again because it was too painful. And you're probably thinking, Celery, getting that worked up about anime makes you both cringe and gay. And you know what? Yeah. I'm cringe and maybe even a little gay, sure. But that's just how I experience the medium. That's the degree to which I get lost in what's playing out on the screen. The other worlds that are presented visually, the struggles that the characters are going through, I empathize completely. And that's why when the portrayal on the screen is accurate enough, it affects me. Whether it's the loss of a friend or some deeper seated traumatic experience, visualizing it, showing it, and feeling it through the medium, it hurts. And Mushoku Tensei has this magical ability to portray realistic, traumatic events against the backdrop of this fantasy world. It's almost ridiculous how well they pull it off. And you might be thinking I'm talking about the flashback scenes where they show Rudius in his old life, tied up, naked at school, being made a laughingstock, but I'm not. I think the first portrayal of an extremely traumatic moment in somebody's life was in Season 1, in the very end. Dead End had finally made it back from the demon continent to their home. Ruigerd left Eris and Rudius to go off on his own travels to improve his people's reputation, and our skirt-chasing pervert protagonist finally got to hook up with his cousin, which I am not addressing here. And this all sounds like a whole bunch of fantasy nonsense, and it would be ridiculous for anybody to compare this to anything realistic or happening in the real world, and people who do should go outside and touch grass, right? Until Rudius wakes up the next day. And he looks around and realizes that Eris is gone. And the show tries to explain it to you. Eris loves Rudy. She just thinks that they're not well matched right now because she feels too weak. He seems like he has everything together. She needs to go off on a journey to become stronger in both mind and body. And Ruigerd needs to go and improve his people's reputation. And how could they possibly know about who Rudius actually is and what he's actually like? But we do. We know that Rudius is desperately looking for people that he can rely on because he is emotionally frail. And in this moment that should be one of the highs of life, he's completely abandoned. And yeah, that's rough, but that's not even the part that gets me. Strap on your fucking helmet, because I'm gonna blow your mind. This whole storyline is an over-the-top allegory for the loss of romantic innocence. The underlying meaning isn't just that Rudy's losing his virginity. It's that he's having his first romantic experience with another person and watching it crumble before his eyes, and there's nothing that he can do about it. He thinks that he's on top of the world, that everything is going to work out for him because he's with this person now. And this person wouldn't have fucked him if she didn't care about him as much as he cares about her, right? But relationships aren't that simple. Other people aren't that simple. And honestly, I get it. And if that was all that happened, then maybe we could have moved on. Maybe if we got the plot up and going again, and we got everyone feeling good again, and got everyone back under the same roof, and we were all having a good time, this wouldn't be an issue. But instead, Season 2 Part 1 happened, and Season 2 Part 1 was a fucking slog, and I watched it as it came out, and oops. And that is the driving factor behind me making binging last season in the first place, because fuck was that a difficult season of anime to watch. I mean, we spent the entire run of Part 1 watching Rudius stumbling through his abandonment issues, his resulting erectile dysfunction, and his fear of women. And to top it off, the introduction to every single episode of that run was a fantastically done but really rough OP, basically portraying the loss of innocence. If you don't believe me, go back and watch it right now. I assure you, you'll put 2 and 2 together when you realize that the white girl, not the white girl, but the fully white, she doesn't have a face. She's like a white silhouette. And that girl in the intro is not any of the women that are involved in this anime. It's not Roxy, it's not Sylphie, it's not Eris. It's none of them. It's an allegory. The whole fucking thing's an allegory. I feel like I'm going insane. And you don't want to skip it because the song is actually really good, but I don't know about you guys. Every time I listen to it, now I'm associating it with the feeling of losing your first love. And that sucks. Mushoku Tensei just doesn't know when to stop. Even though Season 2 Part 2 did a lot to try to bring up the feeling of the show, to bring it back from Part 1, it wasn't enough. And they really just don't know when to stop with their cruelty to their characters. And I don't want to experience it anymore. And even if they really went for a 180-degree turn on the tone of the series, I don't even think it would work at this point. I think they've already gone too far, and I think I already associate them with some really tough feelings. Look, what I'm trying to say is Mushoku Tensei is a fantastic show, and I never want to watch it again. And I really do mean that. I gave every single season of Mushoku Tensei a 9 out of 10, which is uncommon for me, because typically the scores fluctuate a little bit, but it's consistently great. I can't take this anymore. I think next time they come out with a new season, and if I want to cover it on Binging Last Season, I'll take a look at this video first, and I'll remember past me's advice, which is, for this one, you don't need to catch up again. We remember. We really can't fucking forget. But don't worry, there's not a lot of shows that can make me feel the way that this made me feel. I will probably get out of this funk over the weekend. I won't be feeling as down. I'll be able to put something out that's a little bit more upbeat. The type of stuff that I'd like to typically make. And in fact, I know the show that I'm going to be covering next week. I've already watched it, the whole thing. It's good. It's fun. It's good fun. And nobody has erectile dysfunction in it. So see you then.